Live. And we are live. Hello, folks. Welcome to the Connection Loop podcast. Today I'm with Michael Nathan, and we've got something we just explored so much. We had an initial plan to talk about GTM and business and technical founders and how they can scale. And we realized that the only way to communicate this information is to use the tangents of the passions that we have, that we share, in fact, music and wine. So this podcast so far is called Wine, Music, and GTM with Michael Nathan. Michael, if you could please kick us off with an introduction. Tell us about your background. Tell us about your primary life, and tell us about your behind the scenes life and how you've integrated them both into one.
Oh, I love it. Well, first of all, Ruben, thank you for having me. It's great to see you, and I love what you're doing. Background 22 plus years in large enterprise, Apple, Cisco, HP, Microsoft. At Microsoft, I ran global partnerships with eBay, PayPal, Dropbox, and Intuit. At Apple, I was part of the team that launched the initial iPhone back from '05 to '09 era, and I ran Northern California higher education sales here in the Bay Area. Um, I ran for 8 years at three different companies, Network Appliance, Cisco, and HP, the Executive Briefing Center. That allowed me the opportunity to hear from the company's best and brightest, from the CEO to the executives under his or her reign, on why do we do what we do? Why does what we do matter? And why should you, as a customer partner or a prospect, care? And so early in my career, I was able to understand and fine tune the messaging. And it really came down to who's going to take time out of their day to acknowledge my presence while I'm
Mm,
at your site.
beautiful.
Yeah, and then fast forward post Microsoft, I had the amazing opportunity to join venture capital at Sierra Ventures as the vice president of business development. And that really entailed, from a non investing perspective, bridging the gap between the portfolio companies, the enterprise, and our partners and LPs. So things like our annual summit. What are the topics that we're going to talk about that are 6, 12, 18 months away? So people may have heard of it, but not have had a chance to implement or bring in. And back then, we were doing things with Dr. Jeremy Bailenson, who's the professor at Stanford on the Human Interaction Lab. And he had a company that was doing AR, VR, and muscle memory. So imagine, as a football team, instead of having to go out and physically practice and risk injury, you're able to do it in an AR, VR setting, get your muscle memory, everything down, and no injury.
Mm.
18 NFL teams brought his technology in. That's how advanced it was. It's also the same individual that Zuckerberg spent 3, 4 months with before he bought Oculus. So
Mm.
it's that 2017 timeframe. Then I went on to IBM Ventures, late stage due diligence, billion-dollar plus valuation companies before they go public. Spent a lot of time with Eric Yuan at Zoom, the people over at Uber, Airbnb. It was an amazing era. And then from there, I started to be a mentor and a coach at three different accelerators that I'm still at today. Alchemist Accelerator, which is the largest accelerator to the US enterprise. Innovate, which is the Italian government's innovation arm, and Swiss Next, the Swiss government's innovation element, where you have at least one founder from that country that comes to San Francisco for a 10 to 12 week accelerator course. And they would bring people like me in to be mentor coaches. All the topics around go to market, product market fit, capital raise readiness. And what that means is, I'm not going to raise the capital for you. You're the CEO, you're the founder. Let me help you get ready to raise it yourself. Let's really talk about your story, who you are, what you do, why it matters. How did your team come together? And why is your team the best team to address this pain at this time?
Mm.
Those are the things that I try to help founders tell their story. Typically, a technical founder, very monotone, there's no excitement. And if you're an investor, why are you investing? If you're not excited about what you do and why it matters. So I try to help them a little bit, not to be animated. I'm on the other side, I'm overly expressive, but as a founder, I need them to be a little bit more passionate.
That's a beautiful story. I really appreciate that. And you play the congas.
I do. I've been playing congas for over 20 years. So it started this way. Network compliance, I was in line for a really nice bonus. I was going to buy a ridiculously big watch 20 years ago. Every time we're at the stop sign or the stoplight, the Gap band or some R&B music would come on and I'm playing percussion on the dashboard.
Ah.
My wife said this. Um, Congrats on the bonus. Instead of buying that watch, why don't you go buy some drums, put it in
Mm.
the garage and play it when we're not home? But you got to stop playing the dashboard.
Ah.
So that was a trade-off. I bought the most expensive set I could buy only for guilt. I didn't want it to sit there and collect dust and not get paid. So I made a promise that within 16 months, not 18, but 16, I'll start getting paid to play. And I'd never played before, like an actual conga or percussion. It worked out. Local restaurant had a band every Friday. I got to start playing for tips. And being Indian in Fremont, most of the doctors were Indian. They started to come in. My tips exceeded the band's salary. So,
That's amazing. That's super cool.
yeah.
Isn't it interesting how sometimes someone else sees something in us that we can't see for ourselves, but it's just so blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
And there's this thing that I really love to explore, which is effortless action. And effortless action is the idea is the Wu Wei. And you see someone that's been doing Tai Chi for decades at the park,
Mm,
and this is absolutely effortless. The way that they move, the way that they carry energy and project energy and receive energy and
mm,
glide their body through time and space, it's absolutely effortless. And that
mhm.
comes from a tremendous amount of passion, but also repetition.
Yeah.
And as a drummer myself, as a musician myself, there's some guitars behind me and tons of drums at my house. There is something that occurs when I play music, which is that it becomes absolutely effortless.
Mhm.
And the thing that I enjoy most in life is the things that are effortless. And I'll tell you this, managing my GTM is not effortless. Okay. As the CEO of an AI powered software company, GTM is something that I can't go back to my trusted Gibson guitar or my Ludwig drum set and play on it, and it feels like it's like it felt since I was a child. GTM is something that we're constantly changing and building and breaking and adapting and realizing the algorithm has changed and that these new creatives need to be used in our ads, and we're constantly on this journey. And I've found this balance in my life where
Mhm.
I have to heal myself with my Wu Wei, with my repetitive, effortless actions, like music,
Mhm.
like playing pickleball, like enjoying myself on a bike ride or walking. But then on the flip side, my day job, as a founder, is navigating this treacherous battle zone where we're constantly trying to change our dynamics so that we can scale. I would love to get your advice
Mhm.
on how folks can find this balance of, dare I call it war and peace?
So let's understand the definition of go to market
Mm,
first, right? And then let's map it to the passion of the balance.
mm,
For me, go to market is a comprehensive business strategy, first and foremost. And it outlines how organizations introduce their service specifically to their target market, right? How do you achieve the competitive advantage? And then how does sales adoption factor in? So go to market at that highest level is what it is for me. When you map it to, let's say, music, right? For me, it's about harmony. There's a harmony, there's a hook, there's a chorus, and that at a high level really integrates well with things like go to market. When you have multiple sections, competitive advantage, product market fit, authentic voice of why you do what you do, why what you do matters, and why should the audience, customers, prospects, or excuse me, partners care.
mm.
And if you can story tell that in a single thread at a high level where anyone can understand it, that's the definition for me. So I keep it at a high level so we can find synergies, and then we double click. Let's really dive deep on what are you passionate about, what is with respect to outside of this, and then how does that correlate, relate, differentiate your go-to-market strategy. And for me, go-to-market and product market fit literally go hand in hand. So let me pause to make sure I'm addressing your question.
Yeah, well, here's what I really appreciate what you're saying is that there is this nomenclature that I think mostly technical founders have started to implement. And I noticed that when we understand, there's it's like the acronyms. Like we love to use our acronyms, right? GTM, ICP, you know.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always try to understand is product market fit, which is not really an acronym, but let's call it, PMF. I don't know if I've ever heard someone say that, your product market fit, but let's just say that that's one of the acronyms, right?
Okay.
Your PMF. And you have this sort of vernacular that's sort of, floating in space. And as a business person, forget technical, forget founder, just as a business person that's looking to connect with people and grow, how can I really understand how I connect these two things? There's my product, there's what I sell, there's these people that I want to sell to, and then there's this alignment that I get and this mechanism that I connect my product to my people. And if you could sort of unpack and unravel how one might be able to look at their business, whether they're a technical founder or not, I would love to get your take on that. How you can look at that. Like if I were to, one time someone said, draw your business. It was actually a VC meeting. And it was the best exercise that I've ever had. Draw your business. And they literally gave me a whiteboard and I had to draw the business.
Yeah.
Here's the target audience. Here's our channels. Here's, our people. Here's how we're going to grow. Here's how we're going to scale. Here's our, our sort of our cycle effect of growing. And it was a great experience. So please, Michael, guide us on how we quote unquote draw our business when it comes to our product, our people, and making that alignment.
So that's a great question and a great opportunity for me to share. So let's do this. I always look at unpacking what's the important elements of each side in order for us to draw that correlation, right? So the importance of go-to-market strategy, GTM, is essentially to provide a clear roadmap, right? For launching new products, entering and ensuring coordinated effort. And you have the efficient resources that are sufficient to accomplish what it is that you're trying to. Um, the other elements are alignment, and then are you able to help, right? So is the strategy helpful in achieving not just your goals, but are you solving a pain or a problem, or are you having a differentiated enough offering that it's unique? And so when we think about drawing that balance and that correlation, it's the same thing. Let's go back to music. Is your music different enough? Or is it like everything else on the radio? And both are fine. If you want radio play, then you play what's popular and what people are listening to. If you want differentiation and you want to stand unique, then what is your authentic element that you bring to that table? Right. So
Yeah.
sometimes it requires you to dig a little bit deeper and you go through this conundrum of who am I when it comes to music? What am I trying to be? Who do I want to sound like? Or do I want to sound like myself, who doesn't sound like anyone out there, but is heavily influenced by everything that's out there? Right. So if you look at Prince as an example, those that are new think, wow, but those that have been around understand that's Jimi Hendrix, that's Little Richard. There's a few elements that you see, James Brown, that it embodies who he is today. Right. So this is why target market, product market fit come in. What is your desired outcome? Who is your desired audience? So you know how to cater and align, and more importantly, speak the same language. Not literally, but is what you're saying resonating with the audience that you're targeting? And I
I
use
really,
targeting, right? Targeting loosely. Targeting meaning what's the pain or what's the thing that's missing that that audience doesn't have today? And is what you have, your product, service, or offering, filling that void? Is it better, faster, cheaper, or is it really solving a pain? Right. So, two different tracks, both are viable. You have to pick one.
yeah, I received that. There's three books that come to mind right now. Normally, I say there's one book that comes to mind, but for some reason, I got three.
hmm
And the first book is 0 to 1, Peter Thiel.
hmm
The second book is Purple Cow, Seth Godin.
Okay.
And the third one is Blue Ocean Strategy. And the reason why I'm mentioning these 3 books is because as a founder, as a creator of a technology, as a creator of something,
Mhm.
number one is I think, how can I go to 0-1, which is to be a category creator.
Mhm.
I like what you said about the metaphor of, if you want to get radio play, you have to make music that sounds familiar to people. And the same thing goes with technology, where if we want to have a tool that people want to consume, it has to be something that there's a category for, that they
Mhm.
want to use, that they probably have something that they're currently using that's broken and that they want to fix. And
Mhm.
I think that that's the first thing. But at the same time, I think it's really interesting to want to come and say, I'm going to do things absolutely differently, and I'm going to
Mhm.
do something really neat. Like you look at Sora,
Mhm.
and you look at this AI generative tool, and it's
Mhm.
like AI social network. I haven't seen it before. Mind blown. But it's
Right.
familiar.
Yeah.
And then the idea of a blue ocean strategy is go and create something that's unique, where you don't have competitors around you. You've created this moat where companies are 2 years behind to come and
Mhm.
beat you there. And
Right.
Purple Cow is unique, being different, being unique. My question for you is, how do we find this balance of being unique, but at the same time being consumable?
Yeah. So it's like prompt engineering. You have
Mm,
to have a desired outcome in mind.
mm,
You have to have a vision of what it is you're trying to do and what does success look like,
mm.
right? So like growing up, it was always, you have to have a plan, write
You
down
have
your
to have a plan.
goals,
That
right?
my dad would always say that. Rest in peace. You got to have a
Right?
plan, son.
Because you have to have some direction of where you're going. Otherwise, you're wandering aimlessly and you
Yeah.
never know if you're arriving or if you're getting closer or not, right? So
Mm,
the whole point is if you have that plan, when you fail, which you will, you'll fail a lot further ahead in the direction of where you're going rather than, the equal distance on the left,
mm,
which isn't in alignment.
mm,
So, prompting is this: you have a little space to write, typically 26 characters at a time. And people get bogged down by the limitation, the perceived limitation. But you literally can write thousands of characters in that space.
mm,
If you have an idea of what desired outcome looks like, then you can feed and provide information with specifics that will help guide your journey, if that makes sense,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
For example, if you're in a Tesla or an electric car and you're going to go a 400-mile drive, typically you're going to need to make a stop to do a refill or a charge.
Mm,
If you don't ask it to say, hey, find the most efficient charging station with the most charging units at the highest megawatts or whatever the frequency is, so I can minimize my time, my downtime, map the trip that way versus, pulling out of every other exit looking for a Target or a Costco to plug in.
mm,
That's the difference. You can achieve that and you can arrive faster if you have an idea of what you're trying to accomplish. So the point being, have a goal, have a vision of what success looks like or desired outcome, and then feed it as much information as you can that would augment and differentiate your pathway there.
mm. Well, I really appreciate how you embrace the idea of desired outcome.
Oh yeah.
And this tells me that you are hyper focused on goal orientation and reverse engineering. And I think that a lot of us don't do that. And I know that I am guilty of this, especially lately, because there's been so many changes in advertising specifically,
Hmm.
that I have become enamored with the process. And it
Hmm.
has become a daily challenge where I feel like I just want to overcome this. And sometimes I lose sight of what is my ultimate desired outcome. As a
Yeah.
technical founder, is it an exit? Um, are we acquiring another company? Are we getting acquired? Are we merging? What does that look like? What is our
Right.
outlook of 5, 10 years? What does that horizon look like? And I
Right.
really appreciate how you're reminding us to think desired outcome, reverse engineering, and then now I think the third step is the specific daily, weekly, monthly tasks that we need to take to go scale.
Yeah.
I always like to talk about what's the difference between scale and growth. Scale does not require additional inputs. Growth does. So scale is a lot sexier because it's a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
But now I think on this third canon is how can we go and develop a strategy, a plan? How can we go create that plan? What is our prompt to map us out for our desired outcome?
So at Meritage Group, where I work with startup founders, entrepreneurs, and what I call builders of the future, those that are building with tomorrow's technologies today, I do a few things. I do a 30, 60, 90 roadmap. I do a SWOT analysis. And then I look at a 2-year roadmap.
Mm.
Each quarter is a milestone. So there's 8 quarters in that 2-year roadmap. And we start with desired outcome and work backwards, reverse engineering, like you just mentioned. Each quarter is a achievable milestone that we're aiming towards.
Mm.
And it gives us a 90-day, are we on target? Are we going to hit it or miss it by 90 days? Right? So we don't have to be so precise, but we have to be typically within a quarter of execution
Mm.
of each step. And in a 2-year roadmap, working it backwards, and if you're raising capital, it gives you a really good understanding of the Steve Jobs element, which was at the very end of his presentations, he would save that wow factor with, oh, and by the way, one more thing, you know,
The
and
prestige of the magic trick.
right. So the point of this being your first 6, 7 quarters should be more conservatively aligned
Mm.
on how you spend the money that you're raising.
Mm.
Typically, there's a big story of development and engineering and all that, but it goes towards headcount, right? We all know that the majority of that money is going to headcount. That is not a return on investment per se. But when you have this element of surprise at the end that is captivating, like a Steve Jobs, oh, by the way, one more thing,
Mm.
iPhone is coming, you might pique interest to say, what do you need now to make that happen sooner?
What do you
Right.
need now to make that happen sooner?
Right. From an investor perspective, if you're raising, say, $3 million and you have this, conservative approach that looks like it's achievable, and you have the right team and the story to make that happen, but you have this incredible next thing that's coming. Investors don't typically invest in a product. They're investing in you, the founder, the entrepreneur. They always want to know, what are you going to do next? What's coming next? Or are you that one trick pony? And if it's a one trick pony, is it big enough of a trick that we have a sustainable path to return on investment within a defined period of time? But if that thing at the end is intriguing and it piques interest to the point where they say, that is exciting. What do you need now to make that happen sooner? You have a few options. You have the ability to increase your ask of what you're raising, or you have the opportunity to quickly pivot to put more resources to make that happen if it's something that can happen without the other 6, 7 quarters happening first.
Mm.
This is why that authentic story tell of why do you do what you do, why what you do matters, and why should I care, really aligns with purpose, process, and benefit. What's the purpose of your company, offering, or solution? What's the process to get to deliverables? And then what's the benefit to you and to us
Mm.
by recognizing it in its full accomplishment or by taking it in? So that's the beauty of that pathway.
And then where can we go and explore this system that you mentioned? You mentioned Meridian. Can you unpack this a little bit?
Yeah, so Meritage Group.
Meritage, sorry.
Right. Meritage is named after the winemaking process. In a true Meritage, you have two, if not more, of the big five grapes. And for us at our vineyard, we have Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon. We're not members of the Meritage organization, but it's the same embodiment of what constitutes a Meritage. Meritage essentially is a harmony of a blend of a few other things,
Mm.
right? So the name of my band is Meritage Music. It's a blend. We have percussion, we have keys, we have vocals. It's a Meritage. Wine is a Meritage. Meritage.group is a mixture of the entrepreneurial spirit, the process-driven experience that I bring from 20 plus years of enterprise and venture capital, and the desired outcome, right? It's the trifecta. Um, I don't promote and advertise. I try to do what you do, is have conversations to understand purpose, process, and benefit. Is what I do and the services I bring something that can help differentiate what you're trying to accomplish in your desired outcome? So we have a somewhat of a pseudo interview first. And if there's alignment, if you like the things that I've done, the proof points, and where the direction in which I'm heading, if it aligns with what you want to do within the time frame, then let's find ways to work together,
Mm.
right? It's not about money first, it's about alignment. And is it something that I can bring value to you? Because at the end of the day, you are who's going to refer the next client to me
Mm.
based on the outcome or the experience you have. So if I take the emphasis off of raising capital for you, but getting you capital raise ready, now it's that teaching a horse to drink and eat by themselves, where you're self-sufficient, right? You've learned um, my what I call DNA of enterprise, the enterprise DNA, bringing that process-driven, procedural elements of large Fortune 1000 companies into a 3 to 10 person startup, right?
Mm.
It's keeping that entrepreneurial fire. It's that I'm not afraid to fail mentality with the process driven proof points. That's where I try to bring everything together.
Mm.
We focus on a few core areas: capital raise readiness, go to market, product market fit, and elements of BCE development, which is business, corporate, and ecosystem. Ecosystem meaning partnerships, both with like and friendly entities, as well as resellers, if you will. If they can add you as a line item, would it enhance, augment, or differentiate what they do to further your benefit?
Mm. Okay, where can folks learn about you? Website? Well, there's three things: consuming wine, consuming music, and then
Yeah,
consuming information. So give us your
yeah.
tags, Instagram, websites. Love to get it all.
Yeah, yeah. So find me on LinkedIn. It's
Okay.
at the end is slash M Nathan. M is in Michael, Nathan, Nathan. And you'll see the background. Please feel free to hit connect, and I'll be happy to schedule time and we could chat. On the music side, the band is Meritage Music. It's on Instagram. Solo percussion is Conga King, CONGA KING. Played with many amazing artists from Jesse Johnson, you name it, from the Time and Prince era to my own band.
Mm.
And then wine, we have Nathan Family Vineyards, right? So we make incredible Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon blends.
Beautiful, amazing. Well,
Yeah.
such a good connection. I travel up north a lot, and I'd love to try your wine.
Oh, you
I'd love
have
to
to.
try your wine and listen to your music. So we got to commit to that.
I'll be happy to host you. Yeah.
That sounds really good. Well, Michael, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being on the Connection Loop podcast. This
Yeah.
podcast is brought to you by Dub, the AI powered sales video platform to help you grow your business. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for being the best part about Dub. Appreciate your
Oh,
time, and we'll see you on the next one.
it was a pleasure. Thank you.